Where do you shop for video games today? Probably off the internet, although if you're looking for a physical store, maybe you go to GameStop, or if you want to save just a few cents off that purchase, Walmart's got you covered. However, back in the day, there was a store, a legendary store that outdid all other options. You could go there, the displays were amazing, see what was for sale, see what was new, and it was always just such a fantastic experience as a kid, whether you were shopping for video games or any other toys, and that was, of course, Toys R Us. I've already done a video on my channel about an event that was held for the first-gen Pokemon games, whereby buying Pokemon merchandise, receiving a card, finding a special symbol on that card, and then taking it back to Toys R Us on a certain date, I was able to have Mew traded to my Pokemon Blue and Pokemon Yellow cartridges. Toys R Us was just such a special place that it is so sad to see what has become of the company today. Perhaps you've even heard that in Canada we still have some Toys R Us locations available. However, don't be too jealous, as it is nothing like it used to be. This is a photo from my actual local Toys R Us, and as you can see, where it says there are supposed to be video games, it is now all Funko Pop figures. Like, if that doesn't make you shed a tear or two, are you even breathing right now? It is sad what has become of Toys R Us to not even carry video games anymore. And in case you're not too familiar with Toys R Us and you perhaps think I'm exaggerating here, how could one store have been so important when it came to video game shopping? They even had console variants that were exclusive to their stores, such as this Midnight Blue Game Boy Advance right here, which even has like a Toys R Us logo actually on it, so you could become a walking advertisement for the store that you loved so much. They even had the gold Nintendo 64, which was a Toys R Us exclusive in North America. So there was just so many awesome things you could go find at Toys R Us. And again, I just did so much of my shopping there as a kid. You know, whenever I got money for my birthday or for Christmas or whatever, I'd be going there to see what new games they had. And I'm sure, you know, my mom, that's where she got her first ever NES back in the 80s. So Toys R Us was just absolutely the place to go. For someone whose favorite color is blue, it always makes me happy to see more blue consoles out there, but otherwise it is just your standard Game Boy Advance with that midnight blue look, and again with that Toys R Us logo up there. I realize on camera it might be kind of hard to tell, so let's just directly compare it to the Indigo Game Boy Advance. Nintendo had a real thing for Indigo during this time. Of course, the GameCube came out in the Indigo color as well, so this blue color is not, you know, too different from the Indigo. When I got my original Game Boy Advance, I got the Glacier one because that was the closest thing to kind of blue at the time. But otherwise, yeah, Toys R Us Game Boy Advance. Pretty cool. That's such a, you know, iconic store for the time. Unfortunately, not any longer, but it just really takes you right back to just how cool they were in those days. The other special Game Boy Advance that likely comes to mind when talking about store exclusives is the red Target one, naturally sold exclusively by Target stores in the United States. In Canada, we did not have Target stores until about 2013, so there was no chance for that to be sold here. However, we did have a chain of stores called Zellers, and they sold a red Game Boy Advance, which, you know, made sense because their store's kind of colors were red and white as well. And it is essentially identical, except it has no logo at the top. So it's unfortunate they couldn't put that the Zellers logo up there, just like the red one with the Target had. But yeah, we did get the red Game Boy Advance as well, just no branding on this one. But yeah, that's a bit of a look at a couple of Game Boy Advances that were exclusive to different stores, which were so important as someone growing up in those times and going shopping for video games, and now either, you know, don't exist or Toys R Us is just a shell of its former self. I love console variants. I love having different options for what colors to choose. Not something you see as much with game consoles these days, unfortunately. Of course, you had the N64 and all its fantastic colors, and Nintendo with their portable consoles, even up to the 3DS, was so great in having all sorts of different variants. But now with the Switch, it really feels like your options are limited. I think there's like a red one coming out now, and you do get a couple special editions, which rather than being different colors, there's like designs on it. But then the Switch Lite also kind of has variants which are reminiscent of the Fantastic. So I don't know, I guess they're kind of doing it a little bit, but I wish they did it with the home console one as well. But let me know what you think about cool consoles like this, if you've ever had any, which ones you think are the neatest, and hope to see you next time for something different. So thanks, and take care, everyone.